Greetings, one and all, and welcome to episode number 51 of Thoughts and Hunches, making money in bunches and sucker punches. Your boy Stoney is back for the 51st time, and so are you. Now, before I get into the names, I gotta admit, after some careful thought and some feedback from some of my favorite lowlifes, hoodlums, scumbags, hustlers, cheats, fienders, degenerates, after some feedback from all you lowlifes, I've added to it. So, I'd also like to welcome the perverts, the jerk-offs, the horn dogs, the dickheads, the criminals, the virgins, the jihadists, and the altar boys. It's good to have you all back. And there's only one reason why you're back for season 2, episode number 18. It's because I continuously drop winners in your lap. 4 straight winning weeks now. 2 losing weeks out of 17. Over 60% on the season overall. The numbers are just mind-boggling. As is what Georgia's doing to Michigan right now. This is pretty incredible. I'm very, very, very impressed by Georgia's. Wow. Georgia just came out and is just hanging it on Michigan right now. And I don't think anybody expected this. All I can hope for is the over, because I do have the over. I have Michigan plus the 7. Maybe I can get a back door if Michigan ever gets its offense in gear. And I also have the over. Anyway, before I get to that, season 2, episode 18, the numbers are just staggering. Okay, here's what we did last week. NFL 9-6. Solid, if not, not great, but solid. We'll take 9-6. That puts us at 128 wins and 75 losses on the season. It's good for 63% in the NFL. Yeah. 63%. That's right. That's a true statement. Ncaa Basketball, there were cancellations, and there were only 4 games anyway. But with the totals and everything, we went 3-1 last week. So 3-1 we'll take on that was Christmas Day. 50-31 for the season. 61.73% in Ncaa Basketball. Bowl games, another solid week, 18-10 after going 17-11 last week. We're now at 35-21 in bowl games. Solid numbers, 62.5%. And nobody does that, because bowl games are some of the hardest things to prognosticate, right? As I'm proving here with my Michigan pick. But anyway, and finally, NCAA football regular season, which is over. We hit that at 137 wins, 100 losses. So anyway, for the week last week, 30 wins, 17 losses. 30-17 out of the 47 plays. 63.8%. Yeah, how you like me now, says Cool Mo D. Overall for the season, 350 wins. 227 losses, 2 pushes. 60.65% overall. I mean, sometimes you just can't help yourself when you're just... And those are free picks. I've given you 350 winners this season. Well, you're going to get some more now. Bowl games. Let's start with the bowl games. Number 1, I gave you both college football playoff bowls. Georgia just kicked a field goal. It's now 20-3 Georgia with 3 minutes left, 3:50 left in the second quarter. So we're closing in on halftime, and Georgia right now is putting the hammer on Michigan. But I gave you the picks for Friday last week, and because this game's still going on, I can't include this game in the last week's numbers. So I'm going to include this game into next week's numbers. But I did include me hitting both sides of that Bama and the under against Cincinnati. And the early game, who was the early game? I got a split in the early game. The early game was... Who was the early game? Oh, Wake and Rutgers. I had Wake, but I missed the over. Barely. I mean, they were getting close there, but I did hit Wake. So I've gone 3-1 today. And it looks like it's going to be a 4-2 day. That's if I get the over and if Michigan doesn't cover. But there, like I said, there's 33 minutes, 50 seconds left in the game. So we'll cover those numbers next week, at which point I will give you the picks for the national championship game, which will be played not this coming Monday, but the following Monday. So the pick will be in next Friday. I am officially on vacation right now, by the way. I am flying to Denver tomorrow, so I'll be in Denver for 2 days, and then I'm flying home to the Bay Area, and I'll be in the Bay all next week, and next Friday when you're watching my video, it will be from the friendly confines of the Bay Area. Anyway, here we go. Bowl action starting tomorrow. Now, everybody got caught up in these two playoff games, and for good reason. I mean, these are the 4 best teams in college football, allegedly. But they're the teams that made... Oh, yeah, the other thing, if you hear explosions around here, that's because we're about 4 hours away from New Year's here, so it's getting loud, and the explosions and the fireworks are happening in Nashville, too. Anyway, there are a lot of very good bowl games on New Year's Day. A lot of excellent bowl games. So be on the lookout. Make sure you're checking them out because there's some good matchups, all right? We're going to start tomorrow, New Year's Day, Saturday at noon, live from Tampa, the Outback Bowl. You've got Penn State versus Arkansas. Arkansas comes in at 8-4, Penn State 7-5. This is a good matchup. A lot of people say Penn State doesn't belong there. A lot of people say Arkansas should never belong in a bowl this big. But Arkansas's had a hell of a year. Penn State got off to a big start. Hasn't played well. They're lately 5-0 start, but they've lost 5 out of 7. Wide receiver Jahan Dotson, their big time target for quarterback Sean Clifford. He's already declared for the NFL draft, so he will not be playing. And that takes away Sean Clifford's biggest weapon. For Arkansas, they won 4 out of 5, and their only loss was to Alabama during that stretch. And they only lost to Bama by a touchdown, covering that number. Wide receiver Treylon Burks, he's also just declared or said he's going to skip the bowl and prepare for the NFL draft. So quarterback KJ Jefferson now has to rely more on his legs and the ground game. I like the Hogs in this matchup. The SEC hasn't played well thus far in the bowls with, I want to say 1-4 start, with the only win being South Carolina yesterday over North Carolina. I believe that's the only win for the SEC, but there's three or four more games tomorrow. Well, I'm sorry, Alabama won today. So, and Georgia's winning big right now. So this is where the SEC starts to pick things up. So anyway, we're going to roll with Arkansas -1.5 over Penn State and under 48. That's the Outback Bowl. Moving on, Saturday, 1 p.m., also from Florida. This one's in Orlando, the Citrus Bowl. Good matchup, number 15 Iowa versus number 22 Kentucky. The Wildcats are 3-point chalk against Iowa, who's 10-3. Kentucky's 9-3. Iowa lost the Big Ten championship to Michigan, but they won 4 in a row before that. They started to get things going. Quarterback Spencer Petras, though, is questionable. Yeah, it's Petras. He's Greek, so his last name is pronounced Petras, not Petrus, like everybody insists on calling him. He's Greek. It's Petras. Anyway, Spencer Petras, he's got a bum shoulder. He might give it a go. He might not, but they've got problems if he doesn't go, right? But they have problems even if he does go, because offensively, Iowa doesn't really do much. They don't move the needle. They do everything defensively, and they do it well, just like Georgia's defense. This Ncaa Dean is really, really a joy to watch. He's going to be playing in the league next year. Anyway, the Iowa defense only allows 19 points a game. They're top notch, and they're going to have their work cut out for them. Kentucky comes in, right? They've won 3 straight bowl games. They're 9-3. They have a very balanced attack, 206 yards per game on the ground, 225 through the air. Quarterback Will Levis leads that balanced attack. and they could beat you so many different ways, and they're going to have to throw some wrinkles in there to keep Iowa on their tiptoes. And I think they're going to do it. So I'm going to take Kentucky. I'm going to lay the 3 over Iowa, and I'm going to take under 44.5. If you like scoring, don't watch this one. This is 2 good defenses. The first game is going to be two good defenses too. Oh, by the way, I didn't give you the total in that one. Arkansas, Penn State, total's 48. Take the under in that one too. So Arkansas minus 1.5, under 48. Kentucky minus 3, under 44.5. Those are your first 2 picks. Moving on to Glendale, Arizona tomorrow at 1 p.m. The Fiesta Bowl. This is a great matchup. Number 5 Notre Dame comes in at 11-1, and they take on number 9 Oklahoma State, who's 11-2. Notre Dame's 2.5-point chalk. Notre Dame lost way back in October to Cincinnati, who lost earlier today at Alabama, and that was the only loss of the season. They finished the season winning 7 straight, lots of blowouts in there. Notre Dame covered a lot of numbers. Now, we all know the story. Brian Kelly left to go down to Baton Rouge, him and his family, because Brian Kelly's a Southern boy. He's a redneck. He's from Louisiana, so he can talk about his family. Anyway, Brian Kelly's gone, and Marcus Freeman's the new head coach, and he took over. Instead of waiting for the next year, he said, screw this. I'm going to start right now. I'm going to start by coaching in a bowl game, and, God bless him. Good for you. Now, he's got a couple quarterbacks. Running his top running back, right? Kyron Williams is already opted out of this game to prepare for the NFL draft. So he's going to mix and match with running backs, with quarterbacks, and to do everything he can to try to pull this one off. Oklahoma State now, on the other hand, they lost to Iowa State back in October, and then they lost by that much to Baylor in the Big 12 championship game in what was probably the best game of conference tournament week. Their defense is ranked number 3rd in the nation, or is ranked number 3 in the nation in yards per game. They're absolutely loaded, and this is not the Oklahoma State teams of Mike Gundy's past, where they would just score and score and score and didn't care what they gave up. No. This is completely different. Now, defensive coordinator Jim Knowles did leave. He already left, and he's going to be at Ohio State next year. Goes from one OSU to the other OSU. But this Oklahoma State defense is legit. They're for real. And Georgia just hit a bomb with 1.5 minutes left for another touchdown. And the route is on in Miami. 57-yard touchdown from Bennett to Burton. It's 27-3. And America's worst nightmare is coming true. 2 SEC teams in the championship, in the national championship. The one thing nobody wanted to see. Well, everybody outside of the South. Down here, everybody just laughs at the rest of the country and says it's just proof positive, once again, that the SEC is the best conference in the nation. Okay, Oklahoma State plus 2.5. I'm going to take the Cowboys, and I'm also going to take the under 45.5. Yes, that's 3 straight unders tomorrow in the Fiesta Bowl. Moving on to the granddaddy of them all, Fiesta Bowl, Pasadena, California. This one's in its usual 5 o'clock Eastern time slot. Just as the second half, the sun's going to start to go down behind the San Gabriel Mountains. There's nothing like it. There's just nothing like Pasadena and the Rose Bowl. And you got another great matchup. Number 6, Ohio State. Did I say Iowa State? Ohio State, number 6, comes in at 10-2. Then they're 4.5-point chalk over the 10-3 and 11th ranked Utah Utes. This has all the makings. Ohio State just has 2 losses. They lost to Oregon way back in week 2, and they lost to Michigan in the last game of the regular season. But they've got the number 1 scoring offense in the nation. Scoring offense and yards per game. They're ridiculous. This will be their 16th trip to Pasadena in the Rose Bowl. They're 8-7. CJ Stroud is a solid quarterback, and he's going to put up numbers. The question is Ohio State angry that they're not playing right now, that they're not playing Georgia right now? Well, of course they're angry, but are they going to mail it in? It's very possible. And here comes Utah, right? 10-3. They've won 6 in a row, right? And they've won 9 out of 10. They had a rough start, but they've been one of the hottest teams going lately. This is their first ever trip to Pasadena for the Rose Bowl. You got to remember UCLA, that great institution of higher learning. That's where the Bruins play their home games. They're 11-3 in bowl games under Kyle Whittingham, which is really impressive, and they always seem to get it done. I like Utah in this spot. I'm going to take the 4.5 just because I don't believe Ohio State is happy about being where they are, and this could get ugly. Utah could rout them. I'm taking Utah, and I'm taking plus 4.5, and I'm taking Utah on the money line. What just happened here now? Was that an interception? This is incredible. McNamara did. Oh, okay. Yeah, it was. Interception. Interception by Georgia. This is absolutely incredible. Michigan is a very good football team, and they are getting bitch slapped right now by Georgia. Plain and simple. Georgia's just killing them. Okay, Utah plus 4.5 and over 54. Utah and Ohio State, because Ohio State, even if they're disinterested in this game, they can still hang 25 or 30 on the board. Utah's going to score. Take over 54. Finally, the last game tomorrow night, New Year's Day night, Saturday night, 8:45 p.m. Let's head down to New Orleans. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the Bayou. The Sugar Bowl at the Superdome. You've got another great matchup. Number 8 Ole Miss comes in at 10-2, and they take on number 7 Baylor, who's 11-2. This has the makings right here. Baylor's won 4 straight. They've got the 14th ranked defense. They're only allowing 19 points per game. Baylor's been getting it done on the defensive end all year long, and they're going to have their work cut out for them against Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, who have won 4 straight. Since 1992, Ole Miss is 12-2 in bowl games, which is kind of staggering. Matt Corral is one. Matt Corral and even Desmond Ridder today for Cincinnati, even though he didn't play well and they got blown out. Matt Corral and Desmond Ridder, I give them mad props because both of them are going to be first-round draft choices in the NFL next year, and they both decided to play instead of opting out, and they want to raise their stock. Now, it kind of backfired on Desmond Ridder. He didn't play very well, and it might cost him come draft day in April. But Matt Corral's had a phenomenal season down in Oxford. And don't dismiss Ole Miss, right, as just an offensive team. Their defense is improved week by week, but they are number 4 in offense at 506 yards per game, which is kind of crazy. But Ole Miss, I'm going to take the Rebs -1 and under 55.5. So yeah, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games tomorrow. I just gave you 4 picks, and I gave you 3 SEC teams. What are you going to do? Anyway, yeah, Ole Miss. So finally, the final bowl game until the national championship, which will be the following Monday. But the final bowl game is Tuesday night, January 4th. This is the Texas Bowl down in H-Town. You've got 7-5 Kansas is 3.5-point chalk against LSU. LSU. How the hell did LSU get into a bowl game? What? LSU is in a bowl game? That shitty institution, that lousy school with Ed Orgeron at 6-6. They beat A&M and they beat the ever dangerous Louisiana Monroe just to qualify to get into a bowl game. Pathetic, right? They lost 5 out of 6 before those last 2 wins, right? But that got them bowl eligible. No, Brian Kelly and Brian Kelly's family will not be there in Baton Rouge coaching the team, because he's going to take over as soon as it's over, and he's going to be the head coach going forward, says the Irishman from Boston. K-State, on the other hand, is 7-5. Yeah, they did lose their last 2 games at Texas and Baylor, but before that, they won 4 straight. They started to get things going. While there's no harm in losing to Baylor, the loss to Texas was kind of jarring. Deuce Vaughn is the pimp for K-State. He does it all. He accounts for 40% total offense for the Wildcats. That's number 1 in the nation. No other player accounts for 40% of total offense. But the Deuce will be loose, and he's going to go all the way through LSU. So are we down with LSU? No. No, Tigers. No, absolutely not. K-State, baby. Take K-State minus 3.5 and under 48. So, yes, there's an SEC team that I did not take. That's right. Brian Kelly and his family. Moving on. Ncaa Basketball. We started to catch a groove now, right? What was the number I gave you? College basketball now, we're sitting at 62.5%, which is really top-notch. Georgia, there's 50 seconds on the clock, and they're trying to score again before halftime, but they're not really in a hurry. Anyway, Ncaa Basketball, right? Here we go. Noon Eastern time. All these games are tomorrow, New Year's Day. Lots of action, lots of good games, starting with a very good game. Noon Eastern time, Creighton at Marquette in a battle of the Big East. 9-3 Creighton, minus 1.5 against Marquette, who's 8-5. Marquette isn't playing well. They've lost a few games. They've actually lost 4 in a row. Creighton is getting better. This could be the trapdoor game. I'm not buying it. I'm going to play right into it. I'm going to take the Blue Jays, lay the 1.5. Noon Eastern time. Here's a good matchup. Down in Texas, in Austin, you've got the Longhorns at 10-2. They're 8.5 point chalk over West Virginia, who comes in at 11-1. If you know anything about Bob Huggins and Chris Beard, 2 of my favorite coaches in all of college basketball, what do they have in common? Defense. That's right. So it doesn't really matter who wins this game, and Texas will win this game. But no one's going to win this game by 9 points. There's going to be too much defense played, and Chris Beard has got Texas playing really well right now, but offensively, I think they're going to have a hard time covering that number. So I'm going to take Huggy plus the 8.5 on the road in Austin. Noon Eastern time in Wichita. Memphis comes in at 6-5 to take on the Shockers of Wichita State. Wichita State's minus 1.5. Memphis has not played well. Penny Hardaway can't seem to get his highly touted recruiting class together. And this is when we're really going to find out how good of a coach Penny is. In the meantime, I'm going to take the Shockers and lay the 1 at home. 2 p.m. Eastern time. Another very good, well, here you go. I mean, doesn't get any better than this. Big 12 matchup. The game of the day, number 1 Baylor versus number 8 Iowa State. This one's in Iowa City. Ames. Baylor comes in as 7.5 point favorites. Iowa State both teams are 12-0. They're both playing really well. I like Baylor to win, but I like Iowa State to cover, so I'll take the 7.5, especially at home. 2 p.m. Eastern time. Western Kentucky, 8-5 Western Kentucky heads into Louisiana Tech, heads into Ruston to take on the Techsters. And La Tech is 10-3, playing really good ball lately. They're hot, and they're 5.5 point chalk, but I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to take Western Kentucky here. They started to get things together, and they've had a very impressive win over Louisville until Kentucky just blew the doors off of them last week. But Western Kentucky has that grit. I'll take the 5.5 on the road dog. 2 p.m., back to the Big East. Number 22 Villanova comes in at 8-4. They're 1.5 point chalk again at Seton Hall, number 15, Seton Hall, who's 9-2. Seton Hall's playing really good ball. Nova's playing, but the problem is both teams had COVID outbreaks. Both teams are a mess, but Seton Hall is really a mess. They're down only 8 healthy players. In the meantime, I'll take Nova and I'll lay the 1.5 on the road. 3 p.m., another Big East game. Providence minus 1.5 against at DePaul. DePaul's 9-2. Providence is 12-1. Providence is playing really well right now, and I'm not sold on DePaul yet. They haven't shown me much. I'm going to take the Friars and lay the 1.5 on the road. 4 p.m. Let's head out to the Mountain West in the Save Mart Center down in Fresno. The Bulldogs are 10-4, and they're 15.5-point favorites over the Air Force Academy. Air Force is not a bad team. They're 8-4. I'm going to take Air Force all 16 of those points and get that cover. Staying in the Mountain West, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. 8-3 San Diego State is 3.5-point chalk as they head down into the desert, into Sin City to take on the running Rebels of UNLV, who are 8-5. San Diego State's won 4 out of 5, playing good ball. UNLV's won 4 straight. They're playing really good ball, but I like San Diego State in this spot. I'll lay the 3.5 on the road. 4 p.m. 6-4 Florida State is 2.5-point chalk as they head on the road to Raleigh to take on NC State. NC State is 7-6. Neither team's playing well right now. Florida State's lost 2 out of 3. NC State's lost 4 straight. Both teams are COVID-stricken. I'll take Florida State in the meantime. Leonard Hamilton minus 2.5. 4 p.m. back to the Mountain West. Wyoming and Boise State. 11-2 Wyoming is 1.5-point chalk at home against Boise State, who's 10-4. And Boise's won 6 straight. Wyoming's won 3 out of 4, playing good ball. But I like Wyoming here only because they're at home. Otherwise, I would take Boise. But Wyoming's playing tough, and they're bigger and stronger. Boise State will try to run them out the gym. But the size and the depth of Wyoming is going to be too much. 6 p.m. Back to the ACC, Wake versus Miami. Miami is 10-3, and they're 1-point favorites at home over the Demon Deacs, who come in at 11-2. And both teams are playing really well. Wake Forest has won 3 out of 4. Miami's won 6 straight. They really seem to, Jim Laurinaitis seems to have found something down there. But I'm going to take Wake in a mild upset, +1 on the road. Not really a major upset, but I'll take the point on the road. Take Demon Deacons. 6 p.m. Still in the ACC, 7-5 Syracuse at the Carrier Dome is 3.5-point chalk against Virginia. Virginia comes in at 7-5, and they've lost 3 out of 5. Syracuse has won 2 out of 3. They seem to have got things going. Usually, Tony Bennett teams take a while to really get going, and that's been his MO in Virginia for years. It's halftime. It's 27-3 Georgia, by the way. So, 30 points in the first half. You got to kind of like it if you had the over like I did. But yeah, the only way I'm going to need Michigan to score 3 touchdowns just to catch the backdoor, and that ain't going to happen. So anyway, make a long story short, Syracuse minus 3.5 at home over Virginia. 8 p.m. Good matchup in the Big 12. Oklahoma versus K-State. Oklahoma's 10-2. They're at home in Norman. They're 8-point chalk. Kansas State is 8-3. Both teams have won 4 out of 5. Oklahoma wins. K-State covers on the road. 8 p.m. the WCC. This is a great matchup. And if everybody can get off their ACC and Big Ten East Coast bias and pay attention, these are 2 excellent teams. And as far as I'm concerned, both these teams should be in the tournament. I doubt either one of them might even get in. But anyway, you got 12-3 St. Mary's. They're at home at McKeon and Moraga. They're 4-point chalk against USF. The Dons come in at 13-1. Both teams have won 5 out of 6. And it's scary. I have a hard time going against USF here. But right now, I like the Gales a little bit more. I like their depth. And I like the fact that they're at McKeon. If they were on the hilltop, it'd be a different story. But right now, I'm going to take the Gales and lay the 4.5. Finally, the Degenerate Special of the Week. I'm still on a 6-game winning streak because last week's game was canceled. Right? So I couldn't really bet a game that was canceled. So anyway, here's the degenerate special for the week. To the Pac-12 we go, 10:30 p.m. Saturday night. Utah, 8-5, heads up to Matthew Knight Arena in Eugene to take on Oregon. Oregon's 7-6. Neither team's playing all that well. Utah's lost 3 out of 5. Oregon's lost 2 out of 4. But Oregon's 5-point chalk inexplicably. I like Kristoviak in Utah. I'll take the 5 all day long. There's your 16 NCAA basketball picks to go along with your 7 bowl games and totals. 30 minutes in. Ready? NFL time. Let's hit it. Sunday. All games on Sunday except for one Monday night game. That's it. Then next week, all games will be on Sunday. Last Sunday of the regular season. So here we go. Starting Sunday morning, the morning games. 7-8 Atlanta heads up to Orchard Park to take on Buffalo. This one's got blowout written all over it. Buffalo's 9-6. We saw what they did to New England last week. But the Falcons have been battling. And the Falcons, even though they didn't cover last week against Detroit, because Detroit covers, that's what they do. The Falcons don't really. But with 14.5 on the road, I'll take those all day long. Give me the dog on the road, plus 14.5. 8-7 Miami comes in to Nashville here. I will not be here. I'll be watching this game in Denver. But the Titans are 10-5, and the Dolphins are 8-7. The Titans are also 3.5-point chalk at home. But the Fins have won 7 in a row. What the Titans have going for them is the health of A.J. Brown, which is very good because we all saw what he did to the 49ers last week. And the fact that they've got a 10 full day break here, and Miami's coming off short week. So all signs point to Tennessee, but Tennessee doesn't take care of business against teams they're supposed to beat. They only win when they're dogs. It's just kind of scary the way that happens. So take Miami plus 3.5. Take them on the money line. Take a flyer of them, with them on the money line. Chicago versus the Giants. Ho hum. This one's an ugly one. This one's in Soldier Field. Chicago's 5-10. The Giants are 4-11. The Bears are 6-point favorites. Nick Foles. There's a Nick Foles sighting. I'll take Nick Foles. I'll lay the 6. Give me the Bears. Took them last week. They got me a cover. Nick Foles -6. Bears. 11-4 Kansas City heads to Cincinnati, the Queen City, to take on the Bengals. Bengals are 9-6. The Chefs are 5-point favorites. I like the Chefs. I'm going to lay the 5. I was kind of kicking myself all week long trying to talk myself into taking the Bengals. As much as I like them and as much as I like what Burrow did last week, the Burrow to Higgins combination was really good. But Tennessee's done it. So that's 7 in a row now. Tennessee's red hot. You know, that's a tough team to go against. So I'm going to take the Chefs and lay the 5. Colts and Raiders up in RCA Dome. The Colts are 9-6. And the Raiders are 8-7. Both teams are fighting for playoff spots. Colts win. Raiders cover. Colts 7-point favorites. Give me the Raiders. I'll take the Raiders plus the 7. 9-6 New England is at home against the hapless Jacksonville Jaguars at 2-13. The Pats are 16-point favorites. I'm going to lay them. I just don't trust the Jags at all. I can't do it. And as much as I don't trust the Patriots to even score 16 points, this one could get out of hand. So I'll take the Pats and I'll lay the 16. 11-4 Tampa Bay heads up to New Jersey to take on the Jets at the Snoopy Dome. The Jets are 4-11. The Bucks are 11-4. This one's got mismatch written all over it. I don't care if it's on the road. Tampa Bay plays well on the road, plays well in the cold weather. 13.5 Bucks. Lay 'em. Eagles, Redskins. Oops. Football team. Eagles head in to our nation's capital and take on the WTF. I like the Eagles in this one, -3. The Eagles are 8-7. The Skins are at 6-9. Take the Eagles all day long in this one. Could be a trap, but I don't buy it. I like Philly too much the way they've been playing. Rams 11-4 at Ravens 8-7. Ravens are toast. Lamar Jackson, I said it last week, and I'm going to keep saying it. What happens this Sunday if Huntley puts together another great game. I mean, you're not going to turn the page this quickly on Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson hasn't shown anybody anything in over a year now. Let's be honest. Oh, he's hurt. It's his ankle. Yeah, fine. But before he hurt that ankle, he was stinking it up. So anyway, I'm just saying, take the Rams, lay the 4.5 in this one. And as the Ravens get knocked out of playoff because they have no business in the playoffs. Texans versus 49ers in Santa Clara. 49ers are 8-7, coming off just a brutal loss to the Titans, where Jimmy G just gave the game away. But they're 8-7, still fighting for a playoff spot. The Texans are toast at 4-11, and they hammered the Chargers last week. And the 49ers just don't cover big numbers at home, so I'm going to take the Texans. 49ers win, Texans cover. Give me all 12.5 of those. Broncos and Chargers, good AFC West matchup. Broncos 7-8, Chargers 8-7. This one's in See, I did it again. San Diego. No, it's not in San Diego. It's in Los Angeles, because they're now the Los Angeles Chargers. I like the Broncos. I like the 6.5, and I'll take those all day long. I don't trust the Chargers defense. Chargers defense has just been scorched lately. And if there's anything that can get Denver's offense going, it's playing a shitty defense. Saints and Panthers in the Dome. Saints are 7-8. Panthers are 5-10. Saints are 6.5-point chalk. Give me the Panthers. The Saints are a mess. They have no business going anywhere. Their offense is a complete disaster. I'll take the Panthers and all 6.5 of those. Seahawks at home at 5-10 and 7-point chalk over my Lions, because the Lions just keep making money for them. They're 2-12-1, but their ATS numbers are through the roof, especially lately. Give me all 7 of those. I'll take the Lions plus the 7. Sunday night, here's COVID issue. Green Bay 12-3 at home in Lambeau in the snow, 7-point favorites over the Vikings, who come in at 7-8. All week long, I liked Minnesota until today, when it was announced that Kirk Cousins is on COVID, so he's out, and that line moved 6 points. It went from Vikings plus 7 to Vikings plus 13, which means this one's got blowout written all over it. I'll take the Pack. I don't know why, because the 2 weeks in a row now, the Pack have cost me by getting backdoored in both games. I am actively rooting against them, but I'm going to put my money on them because it seems like the smart thing to do. So I'm going to bet on the Packers, but I'm going to root for the Vikings. Finally, Monday night, last game of the week, Steelers and Browns, with what looks like it's amounting to Big Ben's final home game at the Giant Ketchup Bottle. The Steelers are 7-7-1, and the Browns are 7-8. Yeah, the Browns. Wow, the Browns. Everybody loves the Browns. Baker Mayfield, OBJ. Yeah, he's gone, but you know what I mean. Just the darlings. 2 years ago, and last year, and this year. Losing record, not going to make the playoffs. Give me the Steelers. Browns are 3.5-point favorites. I'll take the Steelers plus 3.5. As shitty as they are, they still own the Browns, and at home, I'll take the Steelers. So there you go. 6 bowl games, plus the game going on right now, which looks like I'm gonna split. I'm gonna go 1-1 on. But those 6 bowl games plus this one, double them because of the totals. That's 14 bowl games. That's 16 Ncaa basketball games and all 16 NFL games. For the first time this season, I gave you all 16 because there's no Thursday night game. That's a grand total of 46 picks for the week. Again, all free. Nobody else is giving you 46 free picks, but I continue to do it. 26 wins is what we're shooting for. I'll take a 26-20 week, but the closer we get to 30, the more money we make, because just remember that if you want to make money, you got to bet money. If you want to win big, you got to bet big. To me, the action is the juice, says Michael Chirito. There's money on the streets that can't be ignored, and good luck to you.